everyone. This is Rose Horowitz. I'm a Pulitzer-nominated journalist and the founder of Woman to Follow. And I'm thrilled to welcome everyone here today and excited to host episode number 23 of my Woman to Follow show with three terrific guests. We're going to be talking about Latina representation and empowerment in the travel industry. One of our guests is a journalist and broadcaster, and our other two guests are pilots. So can't wait to meet them, and we will really shortly. And we are live. I want to first I want to thank my producer, Stefan Kaplan, who's done great work in helping get this show together, as you'll see, with all our pictures and stories. And I hope you can join us. We are live on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or on my YouTube channel. And please tell us where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you. You can write in questions on three platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I think I will just a little intro to our topic tonight. A question for you. When is the last time you flew in a commercial airplane with a female pilot? I can tell you from my experience, I don't recall ever flying with a woman commercial pilot in the United States. Does anybody? Tell me in the comments. If you look at the numbers, women commercial pilots constitute only 5.5% of pilots in the US, according to the International Society of Women Airline Pilots. And when you break that down into different groups, and I will for our group tonight, for Hispanic or Latino women, the estimate is 560 total women pilots for what are called certified female airline transportation pilots, and that's according to the U.S. Department of Labor. I'm excited to be hosting these three prominent Latino women who are working to change this picture. Let me start out by introducing Jeanette Sija.
Hello.
Hi, Jeanette.
Hi, Rose. So nice to be with you. Thank you so much for having me and Jacqueline.
We'll meet them soon. It's really an honor to have you here. Jeanette was really helpful. We've known each other on Twitter a little while. I saw her in a space with Kirsten Alana, who was my first guest, talking about travel. And this subject came up about Latinas in travel. And I thought it'd be a great topic for a show.
Yeah.
So I'll just tell you a little about Jeanette. She, I guess, as I said, is a travel journalist, a television host, and a public speaker. She's also the chief executive officer of her business called jetsetwithjeanette.com. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
My next guest is Jacqueline Camacho Ruiz, and she is a sports airline pilot. She's the founder of Latinas in Aviation and Fig Factor Media. And she is the founder and CEO of JJR Marketing in Chicago.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, Rose. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. You seem to have immense energy and looking at everything you're doing and involved in. So I really appreciate your taking the time to be with me tonight.
Thank you.
And our third guest is also named Jacqueline. And wanted to introduce Jacqueline Pulido, who is an A320 flight simulator instructor now, and a former captain for Fly Volaris, which is a low-cost airline with flights in Mexico, the U.S., and Central America. She's also participated in the Latinas in Aviation Global Festival 2021 and is an author. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi, Rose. Wonderful to be here. Thank you for inviting me. This is great.
Thank you so much for being here. I think you're probably the first commercial airline pilot I have met, so this is very exciting. Yay!
There's a few of us, but we're there.
Yes, yes. So I guess let's start out with asking, I'll ask Jeanette this. But why do you think, there's such, I talked about in the beginning that there's only 5% of all pilots in the US are female for commercial flights. Why do you think there's a number like that? And just to point out to everybody that the gender equality in STEM fields, according to the International Society of Travel that we were talking about, that did the other stats, shows us that there's a very high, it's a very small, the growth in women being a part of aeronautics is much smaller than in other fields, such as in medicine, astronauts, scientists, and engineers, with airline pilots at 6% versus medical doctors at 44%.
Yeah.
So big questions, but I'll ask you, Jeanette, what are your thoughts on how how to explain this?
Yes, I'll just speak from my experience and what I say to this day. I say in another lifetime, I would be a pilot or an astronaut. Truly, I would totally go for that trajectory. I think for me, why I'm so passionate about women in STEM and women pilots and women astronauts, and because I didn't know it was possible growing up, because visibility and representation, I didn't see it. So it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. I'm sure there were a few. I know Ellen Ochoa was a woman who the first Hispanic to go to space. There have been very many trailblazers, but yet I didn't see it. So for me, I feel like a reason why maybe the numbers are still low is we need more visibility representation to start off with, to let the younger generations know that it's possible. There's opportunities, there's scholarships, there's women like Jacqueline Ruiz and Jacqueline Cubillo that are leading the way and giving back to students. So I think it starts with representation, which is a big reason why I do what I do, because I feel like we need more for women. We need more also for Latinas and Hispanics, for sure.
I think you told me in a conversation before that you said that when you look back and, you said that you would have wanted to become an astronaut or an airline pilot, but that you didn't think big enough.
I didn't.
So it's that representation, but also for women not thinking, oh, I can be that pilot, since, we just don't imagine that.
Yeah.
Despite all those biographies we've read of Amelia Earhart growing up, right?
Yeah.
So Jacqueline Ruiz, I'll go to you next. What are your thoughts on why there's such a small percentage, and what obstacles do you see that are most important?
I think we are making amazing strides in this ecosystem of STEM and beyond. I mean, we've seen an incredible growth spur in a lot of different verticals, a lot of different industries, and I think part of that is, our counterparts, our male counterparts that are there to support us as well, with our dreams, have advanced, in a lot of different careers, and I think part of this is lack of, like sharing this more in the community, right? Making sure that we make careers like this accessible to the world. I do want to make a correction too on my intro. I am not a sports airline pilot. I'm a sports airplane pilot, which is very different than, for example, the planes that Jackie Pulido flies, the big aircraft, commercial. I fly two-seaters, light sport aircraft. This is a new category that the FAA introduced for that reason, because they started to see the declining population of pilots, and they wanted to get more men and women and the youth involved in the world of aviation. So they created a brand new license and a brand new category of aircraft, that followed by a lot of the manufacturers. So that was in 2004, and I jumped on the wagon and got my license to become a sports pilot. But like I was saying, I think part of that is accessibility and education and sharing more stories like this. Because I learned, as I was learning how to fly an airplane, I thought it was phenomenal. It was like a dream to see how this thing with wings flies, right? Even though I knew the aeronautical, rules and laws and all that, I just it was mind blowing, it was just incredible. But I realized that it does not matter how you look like, where you come from. If you have a passion for something, the airplane doesn't even care who you are. The airplane cares about precision and landing the plane as it was defined to land. So, that's something that opened up my eyes to see all kinds of possibilities, focusing on those things that are needed for a specific role and not necessarily saying, well, we're women and we're, Latinas, or, focusing more on the precision.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jacqueline. I'm just going to ask you to chat with Stefan. I think there's a problem. We're hearing a lot of static. I think it's from your mic. Sometimes wearing the air pods are not good for.
Is this better?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God, I thought it was gonna be more sound, efficient, but
I think what I've learned is, you can wear ones that have the attachable, but the wireless ones don't work on it.
by the way, this is Amelia, and she's the
Yes.
brave teddy bear that has flown with me, 400 landings. Just the bravest teddy bear you'll meet. Her name is Amelia, so.
And she comes with you on every flight.
Yes.
Awesome.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Jacqueline Polito, tell me a little what you think. I mean, you're in the field. Were until very recently flying commercial planes for fly, to Central America and Mexico. What do you see as the reason we don't see this bigger number? And also the growth has been stagnant. I read an article that, from in 1960 to 1980, there was a big growth in the number of women pilots, and it's flattened. And I think maybe last year it was like a 1% growth. So, what do we, I know, you're all, here living proof of change, but, in looking at that big picture, why do you think that we see this small percentage of female pilots in the U.S.?
So I think, well, thank you, first of all, because this is a very important question for me. I think, first of all, one of the reasons why I am in aviation is because I was exposed to it. Having a pilot, my father was a pilot, he was also an airline pilot, and my mother was a flight attendant. We were exposed constantly to the travel industry and just being up and down. So I didn't have a female role model to follow, but I did have my father. So he was the one who, well, both my parents fueled that love for me. And as I grew up, I did notice that I was the first, I was the only girl in school. And then I was always like the only one, or
The only one in aeronautical, in school to learn. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in my course, in my pilot course. And then as I went ahead, it was very common that I was the only one or the first in some cases. So now it's like you said, now there are more women thinking about it because they of course see it, and that's definitely very important. One of the things that I've seen, especially in Mexico, was also the access, the cost of the career. There's no scholarships. This is why Latinas in Aviation has been a wonderful project, because they're for me, it was the first scholarship I actually knew about, that I was going to be accessible for a Latina, or in this case in Mexico, right? So that's one of the things. And of course, eventually, it's very hard to juggle once you start a family. Once you become a mom and dad, there's many women that do it, and they do it wonderfully. But you do have to juggle. You do have to, bring a live at home nanny or a au pair that can actually and just a mom. We've read a million articles that say how much does a mom cost, and of course having a mommy flying, you need 4 or 5 people to help. And I guess that's for every working woman, like Jacqueline, right? She also Ruiz, she also has children, but you know how it is. You have to juggle. So that's one of the other things that I see. I do hope with what we're doing a little bit like this, that we're able to share, more women consider aviation. And of course, like Jeanette said, just space. I mean, it would be wonderful to see more women in astronauts.
Okay. One of the things that is interesting is that one of the statistics is that there are 12% female pilots in India. And we have this 5% in the US, which is the world's biggest aviation market. And I think it's like 4.7 in the UK. And this article talks about that in India, that there's more extended family, and that the extended family makes it easier for women pilots, to pursue this as a career. And in the article in the Smithsonian also talked about that there have been lawsuits, that there is, it's very hard to manage, I mean, any career is hard, but I think, not having regularity in your schedule, and makes that all the do you find in your work now, did you find that an obstacle? You were a former captain. Here is this article I'm talking about. It's a great one to look at if everybody takes a look. Did you find that as you were beginning a family, was that hard?
Yes, definitely. I mean, just flying pregnant was one of the obstacles, right? Of course, I had the doctor cleared me, my company cleared me, everything, but it was just beginning in that. Then, of course, your maternity leave. Then you go to when you start breastfeeding. Just being able to do that away from your baby makes it very, very uncomfortable and very complicated. You have to. There's no. I mean, we live it as women. I mean, now we're seeing more breast pumping stations throughout malls and everything, but it's not very common in airports. And women pilots, that's where we're at, or 39,000 feet, and you can't just leave the cockpit and do that, right? So there's a lot of things.
Is it? I mean, I haven't looked for it, but is there? I guess like you said, in malls and some offices have breast pump feeding stations, but have you been in airports where they do have this?
Yes, I've seen a few, not all of them, but yes, and now it's more common, right? Just baby station baby changing stations. Those are also hard to find. So all of that makes it more complicated. Of course, that's one of the big reasons why I decided to jump into just being an instructor and landing a little bit for a while, because it was I didn't really want to miss out on seeing my son grow, but if it were a possibility, if more airlines would consider better maternity policies, or just co-parenting, or all of that we have to do, it would be so much easier. I'm sure that would definitely help women. That number would definitely grow. I know I'm not saying all women want to start families. All women, of course, that's up to each one of us. But it is a common factor that I see in the group of women that I am, my friends. We're almost all of us are moms, and we struggle.
I guess even if you get access to a pumping station, you have to fly. Yeah, how do you take that cargo? Right? You need refrigerated airplane. Right? Here's a
Yes,
picture.
exactly.
Love this picture. It's great.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's me, and I was.
So when you became pregnant, did you continue flying, or did you decide to move and become a flight instructor?
I flew until I was 6 months pregnant.
Mhm.
And then I decided to go home and take a break. And I started doing a little bit of work for another airline, doing the part of their safety program. And then I was invited to be an instructor. And it's really one of the things that I wanted to be eventually. And I'm glad I'm able to do it now. It's very rewarding to be able to share information and just meet more people. And it's given me a better life, because honestly, it's a beautiful life being a pilot. I love it so much and I miss it so much, but like you said, schedules are crazy, and yeah, you can't bring up your kids everywhere.
Okay. Well, thank you for your candid answer and honesty. So, real problems. Uh, yeah. Um, one of the things that people talk about in this field of women, having exposure, is the earlier they're exposed to role models, the better it is. The better their chances are that they will pursue those goals. And Jacqueline, I'll ask you, Jacqueline Polito, tell us about what you used to play. I think you have a sister, or I think a sister. What did you play at home, and how does that reflect what you're, doing today?
Well, I was able to share my story in the book Latinas in Aviation, which I love. And yes, my sisters. I have two other sisters, and we would line up the tables from our dining set, and we would line them up like if it was an airplane, and we would take turns. One would be the flight attendant, and of course we knew the announcements by heart because of my mom, and we knew the other announcements from the pilot because of my dad. So we would take turns being the pilot and it was part of a magical game, just pretending to be pilots and flight attendants. So it was very fun.
At what age did you want to become a pilot? How early did you know, or was there something else you wanted to become, and then you became a pilot?
Well, the only thing I remember wanted to be is a gymnast. That's like the earliest things that I wanted to do. But basically, I do remember start saying I wanted to be a pilot very young age. I'm thinking 4 or 5 years old. Those were my earliest memories, where I could fly with my dad, and I could see myself, and I could dress up in his uniform and pretend I was a pilot.
Okay, well, we need a lot of people to be listening and teaching their children to play that game. Okay, I'll turn to Jeanette. What did you always anticipate yourself becoming a journalist, and why?
Yes. So from a young age, I was glued to the TV. First, I would watch like Cristina, which was like our Oprah on Univision, and then I watch Oprah. And I love how they were hosts and able to empathize with the guests and to share their stories. And so I really knew from a young age that that's something I wanted to do. And then I changed the channel to the History Channel, Discovery Channel, the Travel Channel. And then I was exposed to the world at such a young age. I was like, wow, and learning. I was like a sponge. And I would go frequently to Mexico City to see my grandparents every summer. And I would stay there for maybe a month or so. And I would just have to be immersed and speak Spanish. They would take me out. I would learn about my Mexican roots, and I loved it. And I'd come back to the States, and I would share with my friends. So I kind of was already going towards that, trajectory. I did see Samantha Brown, who still does travel shows to this day. I did see her as a woman host, so that inspired me. And I looked at my mom, and I told her growing up, Mom, I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to show people the world. So Samantha Brown was really inspirational for me as a woman and as a young girl, seeing a woman And she was really friendly. She, I've met her several times since. And, but the one thing that I keep seeing, wasn't seeing many Latina or Latino hosts now in that space, as far as the American television shows at that time. So
Yeah.
it was, I wanted to do it, and I saw a woman, so that kind of made me know it was possible. But I think as a young girl growing up in Southern California, I was always looking to see myself, to see myself somewhere. So that's kind of the reason, the purpose for what I do is really to, make a change or be someone who shows younger generations, because I remember being that young girl, not really seeing a lot of myself and not understanding why. And this is why I feel like representation and visibility in any industry, and especially in media, and where you can watch TV, you can read books, you can look at magazines. Now social media exists, where future generations, and just anyone can identify, can see themselves, because I feel like for me that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, and this purpose and this impact I'm trying to do is way bigger than myself. So I hope that more of the community gets involved and it just becomes this big movement, because I really feel in 2022 it's beyond time for it.
Okay. Well, thank you. It's really inspiring. Thank you, Jeanette, for your words. And I will turn to Jacqueline Ruiz here. What motivated you to go into this field, and where did you start out?
I have been an entrepreneur for more than a third of my life. I created a marketing agency, and after I went to a festival, I found a little plane that looked like a toy. I didn't know that it was actually an actual plane that you can fly, and it was the light sport aircraft. And my husband and I purchased a discovery flight, and that led to developing a relationship with a flight school. And as I was doing that one day, I just said, I'm going to get my license. Little did I know that even flying those little planes, the FAA is one of the most restricted agencies in the world. And I was, as Jacqueline Pulido mentioned, I have 2 children. I have 2 nonprofit organizations. I have published 29 books. So that had me traveling all over the world. And I'm thinking, how in the world is this actually going to happen? But you know what? There's something, I think, something very powerful about women. That is that when we set our eyes on something, when we decide we're going to make something happen, and as we say, land on our dreams, I always say my phrase is, taking off is optional, landing on your dreams is mandatory. And we make it happen. And I have no idea how I was able to devote the time that I devoted to the world of aviation amidst, running 2 companies and the nonprofits and traveling and the family. But it has been one of the most amazing journeys that led to, Latinas in Aviation, which has now become a global movement. I'm so grateful to Jacqueline Pulido for sharing her story, and her cousin Lisbeth Ramirez, who is an air traffic controller at O'Hare Airport, and many other women. And of course, Jeanette, for making this amazing connection and joining us at the first historic Latinas in Aviation Festival last year. And to me, aviation was never part of my world until the day that I fell in love with a plane at a festival, and until the day I call them divine downloads. I got a divine download. I said, I'm going to get my license. And then I realized how difficult it was. We have, in the world of aviation, we have a Bible for us pilots, right? Which is pretty thick, it's called the FAR AIM, right? And it's written for, by attorneys for pilots. And, we kind of joke around in the sports and private, license, area that, it's 1/3 to get your license, about 1/3 of that book to get your license, and about 2/3 of it tell you how you can lose your license. It just really dawned on me how incredibly difficult this was. But to me, I've always been a nerd of education. I love learning, just like Janet. Since I was 4 years old, I was devouring all these amazing books. And then when I was 12, those books burned. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I then said, you know what? I've already
Wait. Back. What do you mean those books burned?
Somebody actually, since I was born in Mexico City, we moved to a very small town when I was about 7 years old. And about 12 years old, somebody thought, the rich people from two kids that were just, making, a mess there, they actually set our house on fire.
Oh my goodness.
So our house burned down, and 80% of the amazing books that I devour that would help
And
me.
you think they targeted you as a Hispanic family?
Well, this was in Mexico, so we were all Hispanics. We were all Mexicans.
Okay.
It's like I don't think it was a hate crime in any way. It was just, they were little kids or whatever, and they didn't think that the damage was going to be so intense. I mean, like 80% of our house burned inside, and but anyway, it was a moment in time that was completely devastating. But I felt something. I said, once you learn something, nobody can take it away from you. And then subsequently, coming to the States and surviving cancer at 21, pre-cancer at the age of 23, and all of that has kind of, for me, created a sense of urgency, right? And just like, Jacqueline was saying, for me, the way to, share this with the world is through storytelling. And that's why I've published so many books of my own, and so many, close to 1,000 stories of Latinos and Latinas around the United States. And as long as I live, I will continue to surrender to those inspirations and divine downloads, and hopefully, continue to elevate women around the world.
Well, that's awesome. And I'd love to get a copy of that, Latinas in America. That sounds amazing. And it's a book. Tell us a little about that. A book, it's a festival. So tell me a little about it.
Oh my God, it's become and Jacqueline, please jump in too, because I know you have been such an important part of this. And Janet, I know you were part of the festival too. It started out with combining my passion for books and aviation. And I went on a journey to find as many pilots and as many AMPs, or airframe mechanics, air traffic controllers, aeronautical engineers as I could, all Latinas in aviation. And after about 6 months, I landed on connecting with 22 amazing women. And the preface was done by a former NASA chief engineer of 27 years, Evelyn Miralles, and had an opportunity to meet her at the United Nations as I was a delegate in 2019 for the first ever Hispanic Latino Leadership Summit. And so then it became a book. We reached over 16,000 people in the middle of a pandemic in August 2020, online.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And the event was actually going to take place at Airbus in Germany, but the pandemic sort of pooped on all of those ideas. Like, okay, we need to come up with a plan B, just like we do, right, in aviation. We're like, okay, the engine is off. Okay, how do we convert the plane to a glider and land? From that, we did 2 editions of Latinas in Aviation magazine that features women from around the world. We've done 2 amazing scholarships, one at $5,000 and the other one for $2,500. We have now, obviously, the Latinas in Aviation Festival that, I'm going to let Janet and Jackie talk about that, because I know this was historic. It had never been done before in the history of the world of aviation. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I recognize your Jacqueline. So great. So who would like to tell me a little about this festival, and is there one plan for 2022?
Yes, 2022, October 1st. We're going to have the second Latinas in Aviation at College Park Aviation Museum. And yes, it was wonderful. To me, it was just beautiful seeing all these women together, because we were all like Jackie said, we were all in the middle of pandemic, doing everything virtually. So it was wonderful to meet them and just share our stories while we were riding on the bus towards the airport. We got to meet, know more from each other, and it's just wonderful just seeing the age group. There was like very young women, older women, like she said, mechanics, air traffic controllers, pilots. There was a I forgot. She's an aviation accident investigator also.
Yeah, witness. Mm-hmm.
So it was wonderful to see that, and just know that we're also having in common that we're Latinas, and that of course that we're able to make a difference in people's lives, just being able to share our story, and of course just being able to do something towards a scholarship, because I think and we share that education is a wonderful key that opens doors everywhere. So we do believe that there are many people that deserve this education, and of course we would love for women to explore all this area, this STEM. So it was part of that, and I'll let Jeanette was there too.
Yeah,
I think you were you the keynote or host of the event?
I was the moderator, and
Okay.
I was honored and just to be there, and then to be moderating these amazing women and panels. And I will say, from not being a pilot, being around pilots and engineers and just all these amazing women, it was so inspiring. And also to see all the attendees. There were young children there were families, like the community that came, and media and everyone. It was really inspiring to be there and part of this historic moment. And what I love about both Jacqueline Guido and Jacqueline Rees is that they're such trailblazers, and they have so much to celebrate. So they don't wait for anyone to celebrate them. They celebrate themselves, and this is amazing. So they're trailblazing, and I'm really excited for what they're doing this year. And just to keep uplifting them and celebrating them, because they're doing amazing things. And like she mentioned, they do a scholarship, Latina, and I met the recipient last year, Shakar, I believe was her name, and she's amazing, a young, talented woman, and I think it's exactly what they're doing. They're making this event, welcoming anybody and everybody, being represented, showing visibility, and I'm just here to support and to uplift and to share their stories. That's really all I want to do. So, and again, I would be a pilot in another life, or I know it's never too late, but yeah. So I have nieces, so that I'm going to bring them with me. So.
Well, thank you so much. Very inspiring. I think let's just turn to, I think we had a few comments. I saw someone with the name of Pulido watching. So Christine Pulido, I can't wait. You are all an inspiration. Anna Arriaga is watching from New Hyde Park in Long Island. And Julieta, I'm not going to say this right, Bolaños, is giving you emojis, star emojis. So thank you so much for sharing your stories. One of the things I like to do in all of my shows, Women to Follow, the hashtag began, it trended, I named 3 women to follow, and it exploded, and women from around the world in all different fields were naming other women to follow. So I'm trying to amplify women's voices, very much what you're doing in your work with Latinas in aviation. So I'd love to hear, let's start with Jeanette, with her woman to follow. If you can tell us why you chose these women.
Okay. Well, I know Katya, she is 26 years old, and I've been following her for some time. And this year, she was the first Mexican-born woman to go to space, and she went with Blue Origin. And she's 26 years old, and she's kind of like Jacqueline Ruiz, like done like a million things at such a young age. She's just like phenomenal, and she speaks to the youth. She speaks, to that generation, and it's really inspiring. So she's definitely a woman to follow.
That's awesome. What is the Space Humanity Ambassador? I see that in her profile.
I think that's an organization that supports people in that field that go to space. I know that another woman, I think last week or the week prior, Sarah Sabi, she was the first Egyptian woman from Egypt to go to space with Blue Origin. So I think that is kind of that organization that, yeah.
Thank you. Tell us about Leslie Rangel.
Yeah, I love Leslie. So Leslie, she is amazing, just kind woman, Latina that likes to support other Latinas. She's the morning anchor in the news in Austin, Texas. She also does Good Day Austin, but she's also a yoga instructor. So she also does yoga for journalists who work in news. So she's amazing. And yeah, she's definitely an amazing Latina woman to follow as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. These are all great ones. And I see one more.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, Ana Flores, she has this great organization called We All Grow Latina, which just is a great organization that supports Latinas in different fields and industries. So she's a fun one to follow, and she has retreats and events as well. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much. They look awesome. This is the group We All Grow Latina. So I see I'm probably following it already. So Jacqueline Ruiz, tell us.
I have 3 amazing women as well. One of them is Olga Custodio, who was the very first Latina in the Air Force. And she became a trainer for fighter jets and just really a legend. Some of the authors that were part of Latinas in Aviation said, I cannot believe that I'm in this book with Olga Custodio. I mean, she is just, someone that legends are made of. Just really, really excited, super inspiring. And of course, Jeanette and Jacqueline met her as well as one of our book sisters, from the series. The next one is another women, because I was kind of going, I know thousands and thousands upon thousands of women, and I'm blessed because that's my mission in life. Right? So I'm like, 3, can I have 3 zeros? Or
you can add,
when
when I put it out on Twitter, you're welcome to add. And what I love is when the woman you name other women. And
it's just so beautiful. You're brilliant for coming up with this trending hashtag and just everything you do is so beautiful. The second woman is Ana Uribe Ruiz, who is also one of the authors in the book series, and she's really, an amazing mother of an autistic child that, it's just so beautiful. I had a chance to go visit them. Her husband is also a pilot, and she's the co-president of the Women in Aviation International chapter in her area, and just doing unbelievable things. And even though, her family obligations are, just so great. She continues to give back and so active and just such a beautiful inspiration. And the third person, again, it's like it was so hard, but the third person is Perla Tames. She is a multi-millionaire that started her first company at the age of 24. I don't think I've ever met another Latina that has generated over $100 million in revenue in 17 different companies, and she's only 35 years old.
Oh.
Absolutely impressive. She also was one of my clients. I worked with her on creating her brand, and she's like, "I want to travel the world to speak." I'm like, "Are you sure? Are you ready?" So we went to 9 countries in less than 6 months, and she was like, "Stop, Jackie!" I'm like, "You told me you want to travel the world." And now she created this platform called Latina, the Latina Empire, with a lot of the women that we met in our travels, and through Europe and Dubai and Central South America, Mexico, all over the United States. And she is absolutely so impressive. Like I said, I've never, and with all the women I know, I've never met anybody that has created that level of revenue in the, as a Latina. So it's very, very impressive.
Really, all awesome, and I can't wait to learn more about them. Thank you. Jacqueline Pulido, tell us. Who are, I mean, who are you, fellow?
There we go.
Oh, okay. All right.
There we go. I'm sorry. My mic was on mute. So the first woman is Erandini Calderon. She is a wonderful woman, inside and outside. What I really like of getting to know her was all that her hard work that she's been putting into professional. It's making aviation more professional. So she's a director at the University of the North in Chihuahua, Mexico, and she has she's passionate about safety, which I love, of aviation, and we have very similar background. She also grew up in airports with her father, and you can feel the love that she feels for aviation and how she wants to empower everyone. So I do consider her one of my role models in aviation now, and like I said, she's beautiful inside and outside.
Thank you.
The second one was Miriam Gonzalez Duarte. She is the creator of Inspiring Girls International, and what is she's doing is she basically just trying to promote role models among young girls. She's focused on girls from the age to 10 to 15, and she introduces them to them so they can be inspired, and they have a wonderful program. It's now worldwide. It's basically what I've seen mostly. It's in Spain, but I know it's also in Mexico, and they're also doing beautiful campaigns to help young women and girls reach the education. Sadly, in Latin America, we still have what do you say? Some girls don't have access to education because of some of the cultural beliefs of our culture, right? Some parents think that they shouldn't invest in the education of their young girls because they're probably going to get married and just be stay-at-home moms, so they don't want to invest. But it's part of her mission, showing all these girls these role models, and I love it.
Well, that's awesome. That's great. So and doing it very early when the girls are 10 to 12.
Yes, I love it. And yeah. I also I know Jeanette already talked about Kat Chazarreta. How I started following her, because she's an engineer, and she has a nice program where she teaches like very fun how you say fact about science. And with my son, we're constantly looking for shows where he can learn about science, he could get hooked on STEM. And I wanted to find someone that was Latina. So I found her, and she has a really cool videos and shows that we've learned a lot from. And then we learned that she was going to be the first Mexican-born astronaut. Sorry, excuse me. She's going to be the first citizen. So, like we talked about before, through Space with Humanity, it is. What they do is they actually try to make citizens go to space and just make it more accessible, which I love. And just seeing her also reach out to more young girls, especially in Mexico, it's been very exciting for me. And she also shares her story there. So So there you go, more cat for you.
Well, thank you so much. She's a really, really amazing woman, and all a little different, and great woman to follow. So I'll be posting that in a few days. Uh, Let me ask you. Maybe we can go around, and I'll ask each of you. You know, what words of advice? Do you have one or two things that you would say for young women who may be watching the show and are interested in exploring being a pilot or engineer, mechanical engineer, or one of these professions in the industry? I'll ask you, Jeanette, first.
Okay. One thing that, knowing what I know now, advice I would give my younger self or younger generations is, don't limit yourself. And also how important self-development is, the mindset, like knowing, even if it hasn't been done or not a lot of people are doing it, or your direction is, people don't understand, like just continue. And it sounds really cliche, but you have to believe in yourself more than anyone. And I wish I would give that advice to myself and younger generations. Self-development has really been a game changer for me because, letting go of those limited beliefs that I can't because I'm this, or it's not a good time. Just do it. Step into that fear and really worked on fear of success and fear of failure. Just working on whatever's blocking or limiting you. And seek mentors, because I've had amazing mentors from high school, college, to my early days of my career. And even to this day, I have great mentors. So seek mentors. If there's somebody out there that's doing what you want to do, reach out to them, email them, follow them on social. You never know. So be my advice.
Well, thank you so much. Very, very inspiring, and I appreciate your thoughtfulness in that answer. And Jacqueline Ruiz.
Thank you. You know what? There's so much that I could say, but my lens has always been women and staying authentic to my culture. I've invested a lot of time with young Latina women and interviewing over 500 of them. I identified three main issues, and that's what I want to leave with the audience today. One is they say, I have no money. Second, I have no role models. And third, I have no support. And what I will say to you, to anyone watching, anyone young or old, to know that you can find a support system, somebody, a community, an association, a group, a mentor that will support you and support your journey. Because there's nothing more beautiful than seeing the sparkle in the eyes of anyone that wants to, really land on their dreams. Second, if you say I have no money, there's so many resources out there that can help you get there. So many resources that go untapped because we didn't take an opportunity to apply for those resources. And I will tell you that, if we can be a vehicle to make that happen, especially in the STEM field, let us know. And third, I have no role models. There are so many, especially now with social media, we have access to the entire world at our fingertips. Look for those people that you align with. Look for the people that activate your core values so that you can be the best version of yourself. And if you know of someone that has already paved the way for the journey that you want to take, don't reinvent the wheel. Follow in that footstep. Follow that journey. Be inspired. And most importantly, take action. Like I said, taking off is optional, but landing on your dreams is mandatory. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you so much. Let's see. Oh, this is all the authors, some of the authors for your book. Really inspiring words and great experience that you've interviewed 500 women. So terrific.
Young ladies, yes.
Okay. And Jacqueline Pulido. I ask you that question. What words of advice would you give? Especially maybe from your perspective, in that you've in a way had to for right now kind of change what you're doing because of becoming a mother of a young child?
Yes. Well, the first one is dreams. It's everyone can dream, but dreams require work and persistence. So you got to work on your dreams, and you got to prepare yourself. You got to study hard for what you want. And even like Jackie said, sometimes we don't have the economic possibilities, but there's always a way. And you can, I mean, we just mentioned about scholarships, so there's many resources, especially here in the States. The other thing is, I would say, like, prepare yourself, study, do your homework, enjoy the journey, because it gets tough, it gets hard, and when obstacles, show up. So remember to. Oh, that's a great picture.
Yeah. Love that.
Yes. So dreams come true, but it does, you do got to work for them. And I mean, if you have a support system, hold on to it, because it's beautiful. I had a beautiful family. I have a beautiful family that supports my dreams, and that's what helped. Of course, like I said, in your journey, you will find obstacles. You will fall. You will be able to get up. Shake it off, keep going. Don't forget to enjoy the journey, because it's not about getting all the way to the top. The journey is so beautiful, and that's the most important thing. That's where we learn. That's how we grow. And for the hard part, just pray, because it does get hard. But God is good at opening doors and finding ways. So I love holding on to Him. He's my captain. And like you said, if you want to be a mom and you want to juggle all of this, you can do it. It's hard, but you will be able to do it. And just be prepared to wear different hats. You can turn into instructor. You can be, you can. Right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm teaching. I'm doing virtual training. I'm doing simulators. So there's a lot of things you can still do, and you don't have to. If you love aviation, there's a place for you. So just, knock on doors and find what you like. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Really, all of you, just great responses and so inspiring. Great messages one, you can find your dream. You have to work hard, get up again, and be willing to juggle. I think is important too. Thank you so much. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna say a few words, and if you can just wait for me, and we'll just chat for a second, and I'll just close the show in a minute.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Okay. I just want to announce my colleagues at Digimentors are going to be having a Sunday New York Times read along this Sunday, and the guest will be Don Yeager, who is a best-selling author and former associate editor of Sports Illustrated and host of the Corporate Competitor podcast. And he'll be talking with Sri Srinivasan. So it's a great show. Please tune in. And I am going to take a short August holiday. So I will be back in September. And I'm really excited about doing some kind of celebration for the 1-year anniversary of the show. My first guest was Kirsten Alana on July 27th. I think when I was somehow in my mind, I thought the show had started in August, but it was actually in July. So send me your ideas for any kind of guests you want to see, or what kind of topics you want to hear covered, and I'd love to read them and hear them. So tweet at me, DM me, email me, and I really thank everyone. I was so honored to meet these young Latino women tonight and hear their stories. Very inspiring. So thank you for joining me. Thanks so much.